Okay, I promised some that I'd try to put together a video of this, finishing up this orthographic projection. As you can see, I've got it finished up here. We've got our top view, our front view, and our right side, and now we're going to put our dimensions on. So if I go look at my sheet file, this is on at half scale, so it came in at 1:2, and I'll show you how to do that also. Go back to our model. We're going to put our dimensions on here. If I check this text, it's in green, I'll just look at the properties. If you're looking for the size, it is a 6mm high text for the titles. So the command we use is DIMSTYLE, dim style, and I have one here. I'm just going to don't select the ISO 25. We found out that didn't put our center marks, but just select standard and then say new, and this is going to create a copy of the standard, and you're going to call this one CIE dimensions in IN for inches. We'll say continue, and here we're going to say that we want our colors to be by layer. We want our symbols and arrows. I'm going to put 2mm for our arrow size. I want lines, and don't worry about this, it's going to look funky for a minute, to be our center mark, and we'll put in 2 for that. This is 2mm. Our text, we're going to use our CIE 101 text that we created with the Lucinda Sands Unicode, and you'll notice this little box has 3 dots on it. Drop that down and tell it we want our text to be at 4mm. We'll hit apply. Now we're starting to see our text show up. Fit, we'll leave that the way it is. Primary units are going to be decimal. We'll just say to 2 decimal places. We want a period for our decimal separator. If we use degrees, we'll go to 2 decimal places. Everything else looks good. Alternate units and tolerances we don't need, so we'll just say OK, and then say set current. Close this out. Now, the next thing we're going to do is create a level. So you're going to click your level tool, or you can just type, I keep saying levels, layers, and or you can just type layers. And we're going to create a new layer here. G-annotate-dim. So G-ANNOT-dimensions. We put our drawing actually in the 0 level, which is fine for this one. And I want the color of this to be light blue, so it'll show up correctly. And we'll make that our active layer. Close this out. Now, before we put our dimensions on, we should probably just show you these lines. This is a center line, even though it doesn't show up on the screen. If I look at my sheet view, you'll notice it shows a center line and 2 hashes. To give you an idea of the scale of this, I'm just going to left click, and if you don't have your dimension or your line styles on here, when you click this and select other, if you don't have them, you can just load them up. Just say load, it'll grab them. You can select them all and bring them in. Hit OK. So if I just select this line, right click and say properties, this is the line that represents the hidden line where our circle would be inside. So it's hidden. It's a dashed line type. The line type scale is 0.1. Okay. This one, properties, is a 0.5 scale, and it is a center line. So the other command I'm going to put in here is PSLTSCALE, plot scale. Hit enter and type 0. That way when it plots out, it will maintain the scale of the lines. So if I was right here and I do a file, print, preview, or just do a print and then hit preview, what you'll notice then is our lines come out correctly. So it's PSLT scale and then 0. Alright, let's get back to our model. back to dimensioning. So that, we took care of those. Once you create one of these, you can just copy it and line it up. So to get that lined up, what I did was I drew a line from my center point up through for center, and then just offset it 7.5 millimeters in either direction. We'll start up here at the top with our linear dimension. Linear is just a straight dimension, and we're going to select, let it select your endpoint here and here. Comes up at 120 millimeters. We'll bring it up to about here, left click, and it places our dimension. We've got a dimension from front to back that should be 55 millimeters, so if I just hit enter, it will re-establish that command. You'll notice I can go angular, but it's still going to bring this. This wants to pull it in this direction, but just move your mouse out to the side. You'll notice it'll grab it correctly. And this is 55 millimeters. If we hit enter, we can put our thickness on here, which is 9 millimeters. Now this is kind of scrunched right here, right? So if you just select this and take this center dot, you can pull your dimension outside the line, so it shows up better. All right. For these horizontal dimensions, we can actually put these down in this view. So I'm gonna show you. So we've done another linear dimension now, starting here to this point. Pull it up, and it's 35. Now, I want to continue putting 3 more dimensions. So the command you can type is just DIMCONT, dimension continue, and then it will allow you to snap to this point, then to this point, and then to this point. And we'll hit our escape key. So it might be getting a little tight here. We'll move some things down a little bit. I want to kind of spread this out a little bit more so it gives us more room. I just select it all, hit my move tool, and I just want to move it straight up. So now if I want this overall dimension from here to here, hit my linear. From this point to this point is 50. You notice this crossed this piece, so I don't want that. I want to pull this one over here, and I can kind of make this one a little more symmetrical too. So it just gives me a better look on my dimensions. Now, height-wise, we're going to go from the top. Doesn't really matter which way you start. It's 70 millimeters high. If we go to our dim style, just for a second so I can show you some other things, and we hit our modify, we can modify this anytime, but you'll notice that in my text I've got it set to horizontal, so all my text is going to be horizontal. Just something that everything else is good here. You do have other options also for your arrowheads. You could use dots, but I like to use the closed filled arrowhead. We'll just say OK and close. So now we're going to dimension this circle here. We come up to the top, we're going to say diameter. We want to dimension the diameter because it is a full circle. Left click on the circle, bring this out to the outside, and just left click. You notice how it puts that center mark on here for you. We'll do I know there's a command, not online though, so I can't. I'm guessing. When I get along the line, we'll figure it out. We'll just go ahead and dimension this other one. And that'll work. There is a command that you can use to just place a center mark, so it's probably under the annotate. I bet it's right there. Dim center. Maybe I had it right. So it's just dim center will give me a center mark. So I'm going to hit escape, take this off. We'll just type dim center, select an arc. Ah, there we go. So I didn't want to put dimensions on both because it's just makes people wonder, you know. So now go back to our home menu. We're going to go back to our linear dimension again. We're going to dimension from the bottom corner to the center of our circle, which is right here. Should be 40. We'll just pull this dimension out to here. And now we're going to hit the enter key. We're going to dimension from this point to the center of that circle again. Only this time, whoops, something wrong. Must have snapped to my. There we go, 18. You can just kind of move your mouse until it gets you the right direction and then just pull it up. And again, I may just want to select this and just pull it outside. Nah, that didn't work very well. How does that show up? Don't worry about these little, just says something about reassociating it. It's not to worry about it. It won't show up on your print. So over here on this side, and this will be symmetrical, so we're going to do something a little different here. We're going to put an aligned dimension. So anytime you've got something that's angled point to point and you want the dimensions to actually give you the true distance of this line, we'll use that align dimension so that we can pull it out in this direction. You can actually use the same tool to dimension straight. So we've got our height, we've got our angle, we need our thickness of the bottom. And in this case, I'll use this center mark, put it right here, and then we'll select it and just pull it up above so it's easier to read again. So it's 9, 12, angle, distance from the back, the thicknesses are all on there. So this is essentially all of the dimensions that you need. If we go look at our sheet view now, we can see that I need to move some things around. My dimension is bled up into the top. So this is where we get into our paper space down here. If I click on paper, it goes into this model, and I can just oops, my escape key. There we go. Middle wheel, pull it down. I just want to kind of center this, but make sure my dimensions are showing. You'll notice over here it has my viewport scale, and I have it set to 1 to 2. If I go 1 to 1, it's too big. So I can go 1 to 2, which is half scale, and it's pretty good. So if I do a file, print, preview, there's my drawing. I can take a look at it and see that I'm getting good line weights. Everything is noted. The only thing I would probably add to this, and that's back in my model, back to the model. I'm going to put a little note here. So I'm just going to take some text. We'll do a multi-line text. Just set it out here. I'm just going to type note all dimensions are in millimeters. And that will show up then over here. Oops, frigged up my scale, sorry. There we go. So you can bring it back to paper. We'll do a file, print, preview, and then this is what it will print out like. Now I'm going to share with you one other little thing that we can do. If I hit escape, if you're having difficulty getting it to plot to a printer, you can export it to a PDF, then put it on a stick or email it to yourself, bring it up in one of the library computers, and then print it out from that point with Adobe Reader. If you just go up to the big A and select export, you'll notice PDF is an option. And here's my lab work. I'll put this in my temp directory here under lab work. And Ortho Project 1. Probably want to delete some of these out of here. This is going to be Ortho Proj 1. Hit save. It will actually open up in Adobe PDF. I actually have the Pro version here. If I zoom in, it actually gives me a pretty good view of my line weights. But you'll also notice by doing it this way, I can turn my levels on and off still. It still keeps those levels intact. So if I want to turn off my dimensions, I can just turn them off here. If I want to turn off my text, turn that off. This is in level 0, that's why it's not there. Or I can just turn off my drawing. That gives you the ability to give you a little bit more versatility with the drawing itself. So with this in place, now you've got an Adobe PDF. You could save it to a USB, email it to yourself again, bring it up in the library, print it out. You'll be able to turn it in during the next lab. Other than that, I think it is done. So we'll escape out of this. Make sure that you close this. I'm going to do a file, save one more time just to make sure. And that'll end this video, and then I'm going to do another one shortly that will cover the next exercise, which is the site plan that we're going to start. So I will just do a